Just what is a customer avatar anyway? Well, I'll tell you, it is probably the most profitable thing that you can create, and it's quite simple to do. I'll show you how you can do it with ChatGPT and a quick little exercise, and I'll show you the prompts that I used to create awesome customer avatars. And why do you want to create a customer avatar in the first place? Well, that's because that's how you understand the potential people who are going to buy your product or service. Big companies, large Fortune 500 type companies, will spend literally millions of dollars doing market research to identify who their ideal customer is. You can spend about an hour with ChatGPT and get something that's going to be as powerful for you as spending that with those big companies. This is a research study that indicates that 80% of consumers are more likely to purchase when brands offer personalized experiences. Well, how do you offer personalized experiences? Well, that's by understanding the needs of the customer, understanding what are their demographics, what are their interests, what are they passionate about. And when you understand all of these things, you can personalize your business. And it's all about the power of targeting the right customer at the right time with the right messaging. That's how you get people to buy your stuff. Here's a study by MetLife that talked about how they used building a customer avatar and getting their targeting. You see how they broke this down into different categories of people who buy their products so that they could market to them in just the perfect way. How do you create a customer avatar and what does it look like? Well, let's build one together right now. There we go, and we're going to create a new chat. So you just click the new chat button. Make sure you set it to GTP4. That's generally the best way to get the best results. And then we're going to break this down. We have actually 6 prompts that we are going to give ChatGPT. And let's walk through what it is. Act as an expert in persuasion, market research, behavioral psychology, and direct response copywriting. That's what we're telling it to be. And here's what we're telling it to do. Create a customer avatar for my, and then here we're going to put in the niche and type of product. For my how to train your dog to behave downloadable guide to people who love their dogs. Notice I'm not getting super specific here. I'm not saying like I'm trying to sell it to men over the age of 50 who have $100,000 in income. I put a pretty general description there if you notice. So I want a customer avatar. This is a paid training course. Okay, so you give a little description about what you're selling. Now realize that this works not just for courses, but for anything, any physical product, any service, any kind of digital product, software, whatever, this practice works. Okay, and here we're telling it complete a full customer avatar, including estimated demographic information and blah, blah, blah. Your report should help identify what does the ideal customer struggle with the most, use your knowledge of books, other related products, and general information to estimate the ideal customer avatar. You will estimate and fill in the gaps based on logic and general information you have available to you. Include detailed information about the avatar's likely belief that their problem or goal can be solved. That training their dog to behave can be solved and what concerns or belief they have about this. Here's the information I have about the ideal customer. Okay, so then you go to the bottom and we're going to put whatever you know about them. Maybe you know very little. So let's give an example of somebody who knows very little. If you happen to know that they're men or women, you happen to know the average ages, any other demographic information, but you could start out incredibly vague, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say they are people who love their pet and want them to be a well-behaved member of the family. Then we're going to hit the button and ChatGPT goes to work. Check this out. Gives us an age range. Gives us marital status, likely to be married in a long-term partnership. Owning a pet, especially a dog, is often a joint decision made by couples. Children, they likely have children. Many consider their dog as a part of their family and see it as a companion for their children. It's pretty valuable. Interests. It's going to break us down and tell us their interests. It's going to tell us their fears. It's going to tell us their commitments. They're dedicated to their family and pets. They want to provide a safe and happy home environment. Challenges: balancing their time between work, family, and pet, managing their pet's behavior, especially during social gatherings or in public places. As a pet owner, I can tell you that is exactly spot on correct. It tells about their values, their goals, sources that they get information, so you know where they're consuming and finding information, which is a clue on how you can find them online. It talks about their pain points: difficulty in training their dogs, managing their behavior and time, dealing with specific behavioral problems. Here's their beliefs, their purchasing behaviors, and a little bit of marketing advice. But that's just step one. This is a 6-step process. We're going to dig deeper. This is prompt number 2. Now write a report explaining the customer's beliefs, objections, and hopes about, and then we're going to put our niche here again. So I'm going to take, just so it stays the same, I'm going to put the same niche, and I'm going to fill these in. And you can modify these points as you see fit, and then let's hit submit. So it's going to dive deeper. And what we're doing here is we're digging into how to sell to these people. What are the words you have to use and the things you have to do to sell to them? What makes them tick? What are their emotional insecurities or emotional compelling problems that we can help them with? What are their fears that we could potentially help them overcome? What kind of important goals do they have related to this topic? What kind of objections might they give us? If we try to sell them our guide on how to train their dog, what might they object? What might they make them not want to buy that product? And we can dig deep. And now we can use that information to actually write our sales materials, write our emails and other things, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But it is gold when you have this kind of information to help you actually sell your products or service of any kind, not just digital guides, but literally anything. Their beliefs: they believe in the potential of the guide to provide useful information. They hold the view that professional guidance in dog training can help yield better results than unstructured or random methods. They believe the importance of a well-behaved dog for a peaceful and harmonious household. Here are their objections. Why would they not want to buy our guide? And what things do we need to overcome in order to get them to buy? So they may question the effectiveness of a downloadable guide compared to hands-on training sessions with a professional trainer. Right? A valid concern. So we have to figure out how to overcome that when we tell them why they should buy our product. They doubt their own ability to apply the techniques consistently and correctly. That could be a significant barrier. They may worry about the time commitment. The guide might not be specific enough about their unique situation. They might object to price if they're not offered a perceived, that's the key word, they don't perceive the value is equivalent or superior. Here are their hopes, what they hope to achieve. Here are their insecurities. This is the emotionally compelling end benefit that they hope to get when they buy your product. Do you see the value of this? When knowing this information and using it in your marketing and using it in your sales makes all the difference between a failed product and a successful one. Step 3, we want horror stories, okay?
And you know what he does next? What does he do? He gets you!
And so what we're going to tell it now is to write 3 horror stories that describe a story, including the worries and concerns the avatar has right now about this topic before they've bought my product. Finish this by also telling 3 more horror stories about what will happen if they don't purchase this product to solve their problems. Tell the story of how things will get worse if they're not solved now. This is incredibly powerful marketing and incredibly powerful information. You can literally use these stories in your marketing and they'll help you sell like crazy. So let's submit it. So here, it's going to tell a story about a ruined family gathering. John, a dog lover, who's excited to host a family gathering at his house. His golden retriever, Goldie, very creative, has always been the center of attention at these events. However, this time things don't go as planned. Goldie, untrained and excitable, jumped onto the dining table, scattering the delicately arranged food everywhere, and even knocked over a little nephew. The embarrassment of stress of managing Goldie during such an event left John feeling helpless and disappointed. The stubborn chewer. There's another horror story about misbehavior. The aggressive barker. Here's what happens if you don't solve the problem. Imagine John's situation 6 months down the line. If Goldie's behavior remains unchecked, Goldie becomes more unruly and hard to manage as she grows bigger. Every family gathering or social event becomes a trial, leading John to start avoiding social situations altogether. The stress puts a strain on John's relationship and affects his quality of life. So we now have some example horror stories, or what are the horrible outcomes that your product can help your customers avoid. And these are very real. I can tell you from my own marketing that everything coming up here is a very real scenario and very real for what people are afraid of as a dog owner with a pet who isn't behaving. We're going to do yet more horror. This is the final horror stories, okay? So we want to pick a combination of things up here. So you want to pick which of these, you have the horror stories, the worries, and then the horror stories about if the problem is not solved. So we're going to tell ChatGPT to pick 2 of these, one from this group and one from this group, and combine it into one horrible scenario, okay? And so we're going to say, mix both of your scenarios, number 1, and tell an emotionally compelling and detailed story about the problem and how it only got worse when the avatar didn't do something to solve the problem. So we're going to take John's problem here about the chaos from Goldie the golden retriever who jumps on the table and knocks over the nephews. So it's going to tell a wonderful story, usually very well written. And in fact, this story right here can be used in your marketing. So it's inventing an imaginary scenario and what might happen if you don't use your guide. It's describing how Goldie jumped on the table. John was mortified. It was a wake-up call. He realized he needed training, but then he didn't do it. Goldie has become uncontrollable, is breaking items around the house, chewing up on the couch. Final straw comes when Goldie broke a precious heirloom while jumping around the house. He's considering getting rid of Goldie. So that's like the ultimate horror story. Now let's go to step 5, which is a little happier. We're going to actually now instead tell a happy story. Write an emotionally compelling story explaining what the emotionally satisfying end benefit would be and what would happen when someone bought my product and they solved the related problems and achieved their goal. Contrast it against the negative story and describe the theoretical alternate ending. Describe how the benefits begin to show quickly and describe how easily it is to achieve. Use a realistic scenario though and don't exaggerate. Right? We don't want stuff that's too over the top. So let's submit that. And now we're going to get the perfect story about why your ideal avatar should buy your product. And it's going to be in story form. John, realizing that Goldie's behavior was beyond his control, decided to invest in How to Train Your Dog to Behave downloadable guide. Initially, he had reservations about the effectiveness of the guide, but the continual chaos left him desperate for a solution. From the moment he started applying the techniques from the guide, he noticed changes. The guide was straightforward, offering practical techniques that John found easy to implement. It not only provided tips and common behavioral issues, but helped John understand Goldie's behavior better, enabling him to react appropriately. Right? It goes on telling this story. Fast forward 6 months, Goldie was a different dog. She no longer jumped on guests or ran wild around the house. John could finally host gatherings without fear of Goldie causing chaos. Goldie too seemed happier. She was less anxious, her behavior more consistent. She and John developed a deeper bond, and it goes on and on. If we revisit the day of the infamous family gathering, imagine if John had already been using the guide. Goldie would have behaved impeccably, charming the guests with her calm demeanor rather than causing chaos. The gathering would have been a success, the laughter and joy untainted by stress or embarrassment. So we can take the horror story, stitch it into the final great outcome, and create your initial story as to why someone would buy this product. We can spin it into a story that still sucks the user in, the reader in, and pulls them into the story They relate to what John is experiencing. They relate to what John is feeling, and away they go into your sales message. So that is incredibly powerful. Now, for the sixth and final step, they have a complete and full understanding of what we're doing now. We have primed it with this conversation that we have just done. And now we can ask it questions. For an example, you might want to ask, what can I do to make my product stand out from my competitors? Right? Tailor the content to specific breeds and sizes. Great. I can tell you, this is one of the things that they're searching for in the search engines right now. Offer post-purchase support, demonstrate success stories, which you'd have to get some success stories to have that. Leverage expert endorsement. So if you can find a dog trainer to endorse you, offer flexible learning formats, provide ongoing learning resources. That's actually something I know is really valuable. Build a community. You may or may not want to do that if you want to build a Facebook page or a social media presence. Showcase your love for dogs so that people will bond with you as the product owner. Where does my avatar hang out online? Where should I target for trying to find them to get visitors for my website? There we go. It's going to now tell us, where do we go online to find out and to find and reach our audience. So it's going to give us a little marketing plan on where our ideal avatar is hanging out online. Once it finishes here, I'm going to ask it a final question, because I get asked this question a lot. People ask me, well, once I've got my product, how much should I charge for my product? I don't know what kind of a price to put on it. Well, we can ask. Now, ChatGPT knows all about our market, all about our prospects, and can actually answer that question. This is pretty detailed. Look at this. It's going into 7 different ways that you can actually go out to get traffic for your new business. Pretty cool, right? All right, so let's do the final question. What price should I charge? So it's saying here, because we're targeting people that are primarily between 30 and 45, that are working professionals, they have disposable income, right? It's also talking about perceived value, explaining how we can make it more valuable, talking about the competition, and then right there, based on these factors, a range between $30 and $50 for a downloadable guide, and that is spot on. So there you go, and it's given even more information about pricing strategy and how to price the product. So now you've gone from knowing nothing about this market, you'd feel pretty educated, right? You feel like you could figure out how to find those people online and how to sell the product to them? Heck yeah, you could. You're armed with a lot of valuable information now that you have all of this, and you can keep asking questions about your avatar now. Now that when you have that chat window up in ChatGPT, you can keep asking it more questions. What questions do you have? What questions would you like to find out about your new potential customer? Just ask. That's it. And you're away, so you can ask it more about how to target or find them online. You can ask it more about features or benefits that you might need to include in your product. You might even ask it for a name to help it name your product. And you can go on and on and on, because it's now primed with all the perfect information to be able to answer. I'd like to set you up with a free demo of Pushbutton AI. Right now, Pushbutton AI is closed to the public, but we do allow private beta access. And if you're interested in finding out how you can have our AI technology create an entire business for you, where it can create a 12-module training course that you can sell to users, a free report, a squeeze page, a sales page, a 30-day email sequence, videos, audios, a logo, and a whole lot more. It's everything to build a complete business. If you'd like to get a live demo of that, text us with the word demo. Text us DEMO for the free demo to be able to see this technology in action. Because what we'll do, one of our marketing experts will get on a one-on-one Zoom call with you, and they will demo the technology. And while you're on there, they'll help you with picking niche markets, selecting what kind of a course you might want to build, and they'll show in front of your eyes how it works. You're going to see how the Pushbutton AI software can dramatically speed up your time to market so that you can build an entire business. It literally registers your domain name for you, it picks your domain name for you, sets up your hosting, launches your entire business, all while you watch. You get a chance to see how the technology can make all of that stuff for you and it's push button simple. Now, I do want to say, even though it's push button simple and it really speeds up the time to profit, you really need to be aware that any business that you create, that you try to profit from, takes effort, energy, money, time, and commitment. And only if you're willing to put those into your new business should you set up a demo. We have special niche coaching that is powered by AI that will help you select your niche market, help you figure out what kind of a course to create the entire 12-lesson training course. It's ready to deploy. They'll do that for you live on Zoom one-on-one. So text the number you see on your screen. And by the way, make sure you like, subscribe, and engage with us on this video. Do all that stuff. I have lots more great content coming. So we'll see you next time.